Welcome to Fast Effect Double Speed Magic the Gathering. Here we have Brian on Blue White Miracles, squaring up with Jeremy on Bug. Barry Allen, which I'm assuming is a Flash reference. Perhaps we'll see Stoneforge or Snapcaster Mages, and what else would be in there? Brazen Borrower, Vendilion Click, who knows? Miracles usually pretty well positioned versus any type of creature onslaught. Terminus can undo significant amounts of progress for only 1 mana, though if he does run Vendilion Click, that is a savage answer to Terminus. We've got a Brainstorm from Brian, as both players have made their land drops. He does have the best combo in the game on board, ready to shuffle away the worst cards and optimize his hand. He's actually going to keep one of those cards, which could be a very bad sign for Jeremy. Or it could be Brian not being quite aggressive enough. We shall see. And that looked like a... Was that a cycled Veil of Summer? We have a Brainstorm. Got some glare on Jeremy's side. We'll see if we can figure this out. Wasteland taking up Volcanic Island. And a whole lot of fetch lands. They are so good. Basic lands abound for Brian. Plains and islands. And a back to basics, perhaps? 3 mana main phase card. I think that is going to be back to basics. Brainstorm in response from Jeremy. And we've got an Ultimate Masters back to basics. Prismatic Vista goes to the bin, shuffles, and will find a basic land. So this Underground Sea likely getting locked down. Okay, it is back to basics. A Misty Rainforest. And it may not be a particularly large impediment for either deck. We'll see as time goes on, it may end up being more useful as a blue card to pitch to Force of Will, or a card to shuffle away to Brainstorm. That's one that I think people probably miss the most. Like, being able to pitch to Force is usually pretty obvious. I mean, everybody makes that connection, but the idea of having bad cards in your hand just so you can shuffle them away with Brainstorm is actually pretty significant. Being able to have as many quality cards as possible. And if you had 2 blank cards, you'd be much, much happier drawing 3 with Brainstorm and then shuffling those 2 cards away, essentially turning it into an Ancestral Recall. Yes, you do have those bricks floating in your deck, but you have more Brainstorms for that. Force of Negation, stopping this counterbalance, which would have potentially been a problem over the course of a long game, generating card advantage. Makes Brainstorms and Ponders all the more dangerous, and can often end with Jace the Mind Sculptor making an absolute mess of things. Didn't actually catch the 2 cards going back there, but we have a Brainstorm plus Scalding Tarn now. Snapcaster Mage from Jeremy into a Brainstorm. And Brian's going to fetch in response. And taking that as a chance to fire off a Lightning Bolt at the Snapcaster Mage. Brian not interested in any type of slow bleed on his life total. Just get that out of there now. Jeremy's going to get... Is that a Dark Depths? I'm not sure what other land you're going to be putting a counter on in this type of shell. It kind of looks like a Dark Depths. Another brainstorm for Brian. Both players have had significant amount of library manipulation. Snapcaster for Brian now. About to run into an Ice Fang Coatl. Death Touch or no, 1 toughness is all it needs to handle, so don't really need to worry about your snowland count. Yeah, I'm thinking that that's a Dark Depths. Predict. Actually saw a Burn player the other day running snow-covered mountains and regular mountains specifically because of the card Predict, which I thought was fine. I mean, it's not wrong. I mean, you do take away some of the utility of that card, which is actually played in the format. So, good on them. I'm not actually sure what video that was, but they were taking Burn out for a stroll. Jace the Mind Sculptor, prompting a Force of Will, and now that Back to Basics feels pretty good, given that it is denying Jeremy that 5th mana. Otherwise, that Force of Will would have been just hard cast. We have Ice Fang Coatl coming in. Jace the Mind Sculptor has not resolved yet. We have had some Force of Wills. And yeah, now Jace is resolving and Brian is brainstorming. It's a tall order to clear a Jace 1 damage at a time. I mean, that's not actually going to work. You need to be doing at least 2 damage to keep him in his place. So Ice Fang, one of the flash creatures here. We had Snapcaster. Perhaps we'll see some more meriting this unorthodox deck name. But from here, with the Back to Basics down and a Jace the Mind Sculptor out, plenty of basic lands, Brian's got to feel pretty good about his chances. Every turn that he activates this Jace, moving him closer and closer to just having an insurmountable lead. Right now, just 5 cards in hand. Now Brazen Borrower, yet another flash creature. Snapcaster Mage in response, and Lightning Bolt gonna take out the fairy before it can cause any damage. Umezawa's Jite. And this can turn even a 1/1 snake into a formidable opponent. He picks it up and it's going to turn sideways. 1 counter left on Jace, but now there's 2 counters on the Jite, so a Terminus being used that tucks the snake, but this Jit still on board can deny the board presence down the line if there's any 1 toughness creatures. Jite is very good at clearing those, but Jeremy's going to need to get back on board very quickly, or else he's going to start to get absolutely crushed again by Jace. Nearly cleared it, just 1 more hit was needed. Brainstorm starting things out. And these type of back and forth control matchups define part of the Legacy experience. So many different Brainstorm decks. Teferi. And we have a crop rotation. In response, grabbing the Thespian stage. Alright, this is a dicey situation. We can get a 2020 during the end step. Will Brian be able to do anything about this? We've got a Fate Seal showing a Snapcaster Mage that gets put on the bottom. And during the end step, is he going to go for it? Yes, he is. He's getting a Merit Lage. Oh, but it's easily brushed aside with a Swords to Plowshares. Brutal. Oof. That is a lot of effort undermined very quickly. Going on an adventure is Brazen Borrower. And Brian stopping it in its tracks with a Force of Will. Denying both sides of the card. So no future Brazen Borrower as Petty Theft is stopped. And now I believe this is a Hull Breacher. And Swords to Plowshares takes that out. Brian with all the answers, which is, to be fair, not shocking. He has been using Jace the Mind Sculptor to perfect his hand. And he is at the point where he is Fate Sealing Jeremy. Crop rotation on top of the library. He's going to let him keep that. And Jeremy, seeing the card, opts to move on to game number 2, hoping to have enough time to finish the match. Let's see here. We're about 12 minutes in from what I've been recording. I wouldn't be surprised if they were past the half-hour mark as far as actual tournament time goes. If you do like this coverage, we'd love you to have you subscribe. Maybe share a video with a friend. We're trying to reach that 2,500 subscriber mark. I was hoping to hit it last year. We were off to a heck of a start. But yeah, we kind of have slowed down on the new subscribers. Video counts kind of staying about the same. So I'd love to reach more people with these. Going to be working on a lot of little things this year to try and improve the channel. Every Wednesday and Friday, we're doing these Discord events. So we have a new event new match every single day on camera. We've got early fetch lands here. Brian going to be fetching out basics. Jeremy going to follow suit with that in all likelihood. Even if back to basics is not in there anymore. A Spell Pierce stopping this Ponder, which could end up being largely inconsequential or could actually be backbreaking. Miracles wants to make its land drops. And if Brian does miss a land drop at any point this game, could be very bad. But he does have a great turn too. Counterbalance. Jeremy's going to respond to that with a Brainstorm. And if this resolves, that could be the end of cantrips for a little while. It is not a difficult thing to keep one casting cost cards on top of the library. It is certainly harder than it was when Sensei's Top was in the format, but Counterbalance still a respected card, one that you have to be careful of when it's on the other side of the table, even if it's not set up. Just the chance that your spell's going to get countered can really mess with your lines. Playing against it with Storm is pretty comical at times because almost no matter what it's on, it's bad for you. Like if it's a 0, if it's a 1, if it's a 2. I mean, there's so many, just a 5, you know, like just shutting off your ad nauseum. Like there's just so many bad things that can happen to you, and you generally have to play a variety of mana costs throughout the throughout the game in the same turn, really. Now, Counterbalance whiffs on this Intuition. Oh, and Jeremy not actually sure what he's going to be getting. Initially thinks about Force of Will. Then thinks, take a full look through the library. Intuition's such a powerful Magic card. Doesn't see a ton of play right now in Legacy. And what do we got here? Is there a Euro? We see Brazen Borrower on top. And it might be a couple of Euro. Oh no, a Life from the Loam, okay. Yeah, Intuition could end up being just a decent utility card in a lot of matchups. Taking up anything that you're playing more than 3 or more copies of, but also have the ability to get that grindy game going with Life from the Loam or maybe Euro. Haven't really thought about the card very much outside of the Sneak and Show builds in a while, or the Eureka Tell more accurately. The lists I've been more interested in lately. Yeah, Miracles having access to Teferi is certainly a haymaker for other blue decks, as is Narset. These are the type of cards that may be kind of underwhelming in your non-blue matchups, but man, can they be just devastating when your opponent's also on islands. Narset replacing herself with a Force of Will. And Petty Theft bouncing the Counterbalance. Ponder revealed off the top of the library. A Wasteland takes out Brian's Tundra, leaving him with just blue and red mana. But he's going to be able to Ponder and use Narset in all likelihood. Crop Rotation. Grabbing a Thespian Stage and Dark Depths played from hand. Will Brian have an answer this game? This is not the type of deck that I want to try and make a 2020 against. Now, mercifully, he's got that Life from the Loam, so he can potentially grind this out. Ooh, we've got a Hushbringer, a Hull Breacher in response to a Ponder. That meets a Force of Will, pitching the previously bounced Counterbalance. Or at least we assume it's that same copy. He could have another one in hand. And now Narset continues to look for support. Teferi. Teferi makes a situation where if Brian can survive a single swing from the 2020, he can easily bounce the Merit Lage. So any type of Icefang Codal, Baleful Strix style card, very dangerous. I don't know what Miracles could have left with that, though. There's the Teferi. In the past, they would have had access potentially to Vendelian Click. He may just have to be relying on a good old-fashioned Swords to Plowshares. We'll see what he's got for answers, because he's going to need to answer this. Another Intuition. And this one's grabbing Force of Will, Force of Negation, Force of Will. And Force of Will is given. And used on the Teferi. Brian fetches. And it looks like he's going to be making a 2020. He does have the Life from the Loam to just reassemble the whole combo in time anyways. It's not like Brian has the wastelands to stop this. We have Swords to Plowshares, which looks like it's getting denied. However, Snapcaster to bring back the Swords to Plowshares is going to end up resolving. Couldn't quite make out the counter that might have been trying to protect it. Could have been the Ferocious, I think it was Utter End? Not Utter End. The one that used to be played in Death Shadow. You can let me know in the comments what you think that counter was. So a Snapcaster Mage and a Narset. One chipping away at Barry's life, at Jeremy's life. The other preventing a lot of the possible outs here. Things like Brainstorm. Not going to work. Another 2020 being made. And yet, again, a Swords to Plowshare. So his life total must be massive at this point. Yeah, it looks like 40-something. So Snapcaster isn't actually... I guess it's not really a clock. Euro coming out of the graveyard. Yeah, I mean, if you're sitting there at 50 life, Snapcaster's not going to actually outpace just making another Merit Lage again and again. We're seeing some grindiness here. So I believe Brian picked up game 1, and Jeremy's getting pretty close to game 2. He's got a Euro on board. A crazy amount of life. Euro not able to draw any cards because of the Narset. Ice Fang Kodal. And Narset finally going to get cleared. Counterbalance, but I mean, Jeremy's got his threats assembled. Force of Negation is going to be thrown at it. 1-for-1 trade's going to start to get a lot more attractive. I'm not sure if that's Cling to Dust. I think it may be. There's also another draw engine. Just escaping those dead cards to exile a card in your opponent's graveyard and draw a card. Snapcaster Mage. Just stepping in front of a bus. Trying to hold on. Looking to eventually find a Terminus. Jace the Mind Sculptor can set this up. Will it resolve? I mean, Jace setting up a Terminus is the real danger. And Brian just scooping it up there as Jeremy does take down the second game. I don't know if they're going to have time for a third. They're going to have to play pretty quickly. And they will not. I actually skipped ahead. They get several turns in, but nothing of note really happens, so I won't take your time up with a game that ends in a draw, but this match will be a 1-1 draw. We did get to see what Jeremy's deck is capable of, but we did know that Miracles was certainly capable of draws, and it looks like these two decks probably have a tough time finishing in time when your opponent picks up a game from you. That is all for this one, but don't worry, there is a lot more. You can check out our older videos, and we're always putting out new videos from ELD's Time Vault Games in Bellingham, Massachusetts. If you want to help the channel, of course, you can like, subscribe, share, tap that notification bell so you can know the next time our new videos come out. Thanks for watching.